Helen's 65-year-old bones creaked awake, craving mischief. Not bingo, not grandkids. Something lit. Sunlight hit a dusty paintbrush on her Auckland windowsill, left there years ago, mocking her corporate grind. Today, it glowed like a dare. Across town, flyers for a community art fair fluttered, taunting, "Your turn." Fingers twitched. What if retirement wasn't an ending, but a backstage pass? She grabbed that brush like a sword. Time to paint her second act bold enough to scare seagulls. Helen's fingers hovered over a paintbrush, its wooden handle worn smooth by decades of grading middle school art projects, her past life pressing into her palm like a forgotten coin. Retirement had left her days wide as an empty canvas, terrifying in its possibility. What if she poured herself into colors only to find nothing left? Age had a way of whispering too late beneath every brave thought, a dripping tap of doubt. Auckland's weekend art fair buzzed around her, stalls lit with sea glass jewelry and oil-slick abstracts. She fumbled a step, clumsy in her own skin, knocking over a display of ceramic kiwi birds. Mortification burned her cheeks, but Vinder just winked. First time's free, love. Maybe mistakes were allowed here. Back home, she smeared cerulean across paper, then crimson, then gold, each stroke a rebellion against tidy boxes of her old routine. Paint bled into unexpected shapes, not perfect, but alive. Her deepest fear, being irrelevant, a shelf-dusted trophy, melted like wax under a flame. By summer's end, her kitchen table groaned with canvases. When Community Center invited her to show them, Helen laughed, loud enough to startle neighbors Tabby. 65, and her heart was a sparkler again. Opening night, strangers lingered by her triptych of Rangitoto, Island Dawn. One woman traced a brushstroke with her thumb. Feels like standing there, doesn't it? Helen's chest tightened. This connection was things she'd missed. Not a paycheck, not a title. Just her hands making something that mattered. Paintbrush, once a tool for teaching, now held stories only she could tell. And damn if that wasn't a reason to wake up grinning. Helen's 65-year-old bones creaked awake, craving mischief. Not mischief like sneaking extra biscuits, though she'd done that too, but mischief of soul. Retirement had left her adrift, days blurring into one long nap. Then she spotted a flyer for a community art show, edges curled like an invitation. Why not? First attempt with a paintbrush was a disaster. Watercolors bled into muddy puddles. Her strokes more toddler than Titian. But something about smearing color onto paper felt lit, like striking a match in a dim room. A woman with rainbow-streaked hair, Maggie, 72 and twice as bold, caught she scowling her mess. Without a word, Maggie plopped down beside her, swirled cobalt into gold, and turned sludge into sunset. Woman returned every week, trading Sudoku for sketch pads. Fingers, stiff from decades of typing, relearned grace. Paintbrush became more than a tool. It was a bridge, stitching her past as a meticulous accountant to this wild, imperfect present. She painted crooked trees with roots deeper than her wrinkles, skies splashed reckless as her newfound laugh. Then came twist. Maggie entered them both in art fair. Helen's stomach dropped like a misstep, but show day arrived, her canvases pinned between vibrant quilts and carved driftwood. Strangers paused, nodding her storm season series, gray clouds parting to reveal stubborn light. One woman, eyes damp, whispered, "That's exactly how I feel." Helen stood taller, spine remembering its steel. Retirement hadn't erased her. It just needed a fresh canvas. And as she packed up, Maggie tossed her a grin. Next year, bigger. No, just forward. Helen's 65-year-old bones creaked awake, craving mischief. Not kind involving grandkids or garden gnomes. Something lit, something hers. Retirement had handed her days like blank canvases, but instead of possibility, she saw only empty space. That first art therapy session felt like showing up to a potluck with store-bought hummus. Everyone else seemed to bring effortless brilliance. Her brush trembled over paper, leaving hesitant strokes that looked less like expression and more like a confused seismograph. But Auckland's autumn light had a way of softening edges. She returned, stubborn as a rusted gate hinge, slathering colors with same determination she'd once used to silence boardroom naysayers. Paint became her rebellion against myth that purpose had an expiration date. When doubts whispered she was just a dabbling retiree, she mixed cerulean with fury and smeared it across page. Community art fairs buzzed with energy she hadn't felt since her corporate days. Watching strangers pause her piece, a wild, textured tangle of blues and golds she'd titled Lost and Found, lit a spark. That brush, once clumsy in her grip, now felt like an extension of her fight, every stroke a refusal to fade into beige. By final show, Helen stood taller, her laugh lines deepened not by worry, but by sheer audacity of beginning again. Canvas had mirrored her journey, messy, layered, alive. And as she packed up her paints, she realized retirement wasn't an ending. It was just first bold stroke of something new. Helen's 65-year-old bones creaked awake, craving mischief. Not for her were knitting circles or slow strolls past manicured hedges. No, she wanted color, chaos, something lit enough to make her grandkids gasp. That morning, staring blank walls of her tidy Auckland bungalow, she snatched up a paintbrush still stiff from decades of disuse. Its weight felt foreign yet familiar, like shaking hands with an old friend who'd waited patiently for her return. She attacked a canvas with wild strokes, cerulean blues clashing with neon pinks, not caring if it looked good. This wasn't about perfection. It was about proving she still had fire beneath her sensible cardigan. Word got around fast in her neighborhood. Retired librarian turned rogue artist? Gossip gold. When flyers for a community art fair appeared local cafe, woman slapped down her entry fee before doubt could catch up. Opening night buzzed with hipsters and hobbyists, their eyes sliding right past her display. Then a teen in ripped jeans stopped dead, snapping a pic of Helen's abstract explosion, a whirl of silver streaks she'd titled Lost and Found. By midnight, that shot had gone viral. Suddenly, silver-haired ladies from her yoga class were elbowing forward, demanding to know how she'd unlocked her creative genius. A gallery owner murmured about commissions. Woman bit back a laugh. Who knew rebellion came in acrylics? Best moment came when Marjorie, Bridge Club skeptic who'd scoffed dabbling, stood frozen before Helen's work. "You did this?" she stammered, as if woman had sprouted wings. Crowd held its breath. Woman just winked, paintbrush twirling between her fingers like a baton. Turns out retirement's got a hell of a second act. Later, surrounded by newbies clutching brushes like lifelines in her first workshop, woman watched colors bleed across their hesitant canvases. Their laughter was messy, glorious. This wasn't just art. It was a middle finger to invisibility. As golden hour light hit her paint-splattered sneakers, Helen grinned. Game on. Helen's 65-year-old bones creaked awake, craving mischief. Not crossword puzzles, not bingo nights, but something lit. Retirement had left her adrift until a rogue paintbrush found its way into her hands. What began as shaky strokes on a thrift store canvas soon became bold, swirling declarations of a woman refusing to fade. Auckland's art fairs whispered inspiration. She answered by turning her garage into a riot of color, where neighbors peeked in, then stayed to play. Months later, her community art show, Bloom Where You're Planted, transformed a drab rec center into a gallery of second acts. Teenagers gawked abstract landscapes beside grandmas, nodding quilted memories. Helen guided hesitant fingers, her once lonely brush now a baton passing courage. Age is just a number, she'd wink, but messiness? Timeless. By closing night, her paintings had sold, but her real masterpiece was spark in others' eyes. Retirees clutching clay, teens sketching futures, all woven into something bigger. Helen's creaky bones? Now they danced to a rhythm only she could hear. Grab a brush. Paint your next chapter bold.